Coming to you from the Black Swan Media Studios, this is Fireside Chats, talking to the real difference makers in the world. Now, here is your host, John Crump.
Welcome to the apocalypse, as they like to call it. My name is John Crump, and I'm here with one, the only CloverTac tonight. But before we get into that, just remember you can always support this show and my other projects by going to either a one-time donation at paypal.me/JohnCC or patreon.com/John Crump. And Patreon of the day is John Redden, something I just decided to do. I want to welcome you all to the show, and I want to introduce someone that needs no introduction. He is the tactical leprechaun himself from Texas. He's also a nerd, which makes him near and dear to me, and his name is CloverTac. What's up, Clover?
What's happening, my friend?
Not much, man. Are you enjoying the apocalypse?
No, not particularly. I apologize for no cam, but that's one of my gripes about this apocalypse. I looked at a new cam, a month ago now? Something like that. My wife said something about buying it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold off a little while because I knew that NRA was coming up. I knew that, some other things was going on that I had to do and spend money on and other things. And I thought, I told her, I'm gonna hold off. Maybe it'll hold off, right? Maybe it'll hold out. Maybe I can deal. And so all this hit, and of course the webcam thing fell apart, and you cannot find a webcam right now except for on eBay for like $400. It's ridiculous.
What type of camera do you use to shoot your videos?
I use my phone.
Oh, your phone? Okay. I was about to say, if you use I got a couple of Canons. I got a 60D, a 70D, and I think it's the M50.
Mm-hmm.
And all those you can actually use as a webcam through a little plug-in program.
Well, I wonder. I've got a couple of things. I've actually got a Canon camcorder around here somewhere, and you got me to thinking because it is USB. I don't know if that'll work or not. I may have to try that, and it is 1080 and all. So
yeah, there is a program you need. It's like a plugin, but it will let you do it.
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
I'm just gonna hold out. I mean, the one I was looking at was a Logitech 920, and they're like $68 normally. That's the tag on the shelf at Walmart, let's say. But you can't find one anywhere. And I thought, well, let me go on Amazon or eBay, and I got on there, and man, they're gouging. I guess so many people staying home. You know what I mean? Needing to teleconference and do other things, and the supply just wasn't out there for the thousands and thousands of people that all of a sudden had to work from home. Maybe it'll ease up eventually. They'll get more inventory in, get more stock in, and I'll be able to find one at a regular price. I just hate the gouging, man. It's really a $68 webcam, and people have them on eBay, and they're not selling for that price, but people have them on eBay for $349 or something. It's like, come on.
If I can help you out right now, back order. Damn it. But I thought I found one. But yeah, I have a 922C.
Oh, well, I looked at the 922 as well, so I'm okay with either one, the 920 or the 922. One of those two is what I'm going to end up getting.
Well, they have one on eBay for $119, which is
that's too high.
That's a little bit more than what they cost. The 922. I actually had the 920 and I replaced it on the 922. This isn't a 922. This is just something totally different. But
so what's the difference you've seen between the two?
The 922 the broadcast quality is a lot lot.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, the resolution.
What about low light? Let me ask you specifically about low light.
922 definitely. Okay. 100% 922 definitely, because the two things I wanted. This isn't a 922. This is just the webcam on my iMac.
Right.
The 922, it had better low light, and also the resolution's a little bit higher, which the DPI, I guess it's not really resolution because they're both 1080p.
Right.
It's a
Well,
little
and it's only broadcast at 720 anyway, but you're absolutely right. It has to do with the megapixels and the DPI and all just because 720 is not 720 is not 720. That's what I found out. Because the two cams I've had previously were both 720. And they just don't look nearly as good as other people's cams. So there's definitely and a lot of people don't realize this when we're talking about cameras. And newer cameras are that way. Like my wife's got an older Canon digital that's amazing. I mean, this Canon digital when it was new was like an $8,000 camera, right? And I picked it up for I don't know, like $600 or $700 on the used market. And still today, it's a viable and it beats the crap out of a similarly priced $500, $600, $700 Canon camera. Because of the image sensor in it. The image sensor, because everybody is going digital and there's this craze for digital, mass production and everything else. You know how it works. Companies look to cut costs and save money and make things cheaper and everything else. And they're scrimping on the image sensors. So your older cameras, in a lot of ways, are better than the new stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the old cameras use the full 1-inch image sensors. Now they're like 3/4 of an inch.
Right.
Right. Is usually the size, which does make a difference. One of the things about the 922 that you might like is it does 720 at 60 frames.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, if you've got a lot of movement, that's going to matter, right?
Yeah, but if you want to edit your stuff down and do slow motion stuff and stuff like that.
Well, that's true too. If you cut clips out or did something like that, very rarely do I do that with a live stream though. So
yeah, I saw stuff on Black Box, like footages like just when like trees blowing in the wind and stuff. It's easy way to make extra money. So I shoot at I shoot at like 4K 60, and then I will put a version up there that's 4K 30, then a 1080 60, then a 1080 30, and then it just gives you options.
Right. I gotcha.
It's just something, man. But yeah, so how's Texas down there?
It's not bad where I live. I mean, I'm in a really rural area, so I mean, we've got I think there's between 25 and 30 verified cases to the county to the north. County to the west, there's none. Two counties to the west, there's one. There's been one case confirmed here. Yeah, everything's pretty sparse around here. Of course, the panic and the craze is as real as ever, and that gets frustrating when you're trying to buy groceries or, my mom, for example, ran out of paper towels. And, I was in town Saturday, I guess, went up to the gun shop because it's an essential business and I can do that. And run up there and, of course I asked if she needed anything and she said paper towels. And I'm like, okay. So I did some running around, the Walmarts, the Dollar Generals, the Family Dollars, the other places. Nothing. There was I even was going to get some napkins if I could find napkins. Maybe she could use those and, no paper towels, no toilet paper to be found, nothing like that. So, you got to know to get that stuff around here. I think you got to know when the trucks are coming in and be able to be there, right there when they open within the first hour or so when the stores open, after the trucks come in. But, it's really weird. I mean, the biggest thing here that I noticed, and it's obvious when you start walking the aisles I was in Walmart, like I said, I went in Saturday, and I went in to get actually a shop light, and a couple other little electrical things, and just walked over to the groceries, just kind of walk through and take a look because I knew we was going to have to pick up some groceries in the next few days anyway. And was just curious, and so I kind of walked through, and it's really obvious to tell that one of the biggest things, if we could ever get to a point, I think, where kids are back in school And unfortunately, we got the summer coming up, right? So I mean, if this doesn't end pretty quick, kids aren't going to be going back to school.
My kids are
Um,
they canceled it.
the entire year, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, my
so
sorry.
well,
Go
I'm just saying, when you walk through, you can tell that it's not so much people, at least here, and I'm not saying other parts of the country it's not going to be different, but at least here, um, you could tell, but it's because more people are at home and in the house. That's why things are missing, because it's things like the TV dinners and the frozen pizzas and the frozen chicken nuggets and the frozen fish sticks and the Chef Boyardee and the things like that, right? The pastas and the quick meal stuff, not just pasta, but the pasta sauces and everything that's quick meal, that's thing, the macaroni and cheese, for example, things like that, that normal, kids at home, needing to throw together. Obviously, kids aren't, for the most part, especially younger kids, they making microwave stuff or use the stove and cook a little bit and stuff like that. They're not master chefs or anything, but they can certainly boil some water and cook some pasta and pour some sauce on it if they need to, or throw a pizza in the microwave or the oven, or something like that. And most of that is what seems to be off the shelf. That, and of course, staple items. Which staple items are going to be, that's the people that are freaking out, the rice and the beans, and then your everyday items. And that's what's more frustrating for me, because I'm on a diet. So there's a certain bread, and usually there's one store that I found that carries it, and they usually only carry about 4 loaves at any given time at max, because who wants to eat no sugar, low carb, 100% whole wheat, whatever bread, right?
Uh,
Um, it,
my
it
wife makes us eat that.
you've got to acquire a taste for it. You know what I mean? But I mean, they even have bought it up and sucked it up. So I mean, it's like, oh, really? Somebody's going to get my nasty bread? You couldn't leave that and go get something else and leave that to the people that need to be eating that right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of frustration during this time when and I've been committed to it since getting back from SHOT Show. And, there's been some cheat days, with this particular diet. I find it important. Anytime you diet, you got to really allow yourself cheat days. Now, I don't like doing it, but, it certainly helps when you do. But I don't want to completely fall off the wagon, but it's more and more getting to the point with the way the grocery stores and the supplies are, that that you might have to put the diet on hold for a few months or something like that. And that gets into a bigger thing, where, and I know I'm monopolizing the conversation here, but
No,
that
no,
yeah,
no.
that gets into a bigger thing, where I wonder, when we come out the other side of this, we already know that the United States is an obese nation anyway. It's like, good Lord, what's it going to look like when we come out the other side of this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And around here, like my county has 87 people. The county next to mine is 244. Then it's like 104. Then it's like 94. And then you have DC, because I kind of border DC.
Right.
I'm not even sure how many they have there, but it's a lot.
Well, it's obvious by looking.
495.
If you look at the map, it's obvious by looking that this is a situation where, if people are packed in like sardines, it's a problem. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Um, the rural areas are not nearly as affected, at least not yet.
Yeah, there's probably a little bit over 1,000 people within like a 30-mile range of me who have it.
Wow.
Like we even had a teacher that died that was at a school down the street from it.
Wow. Now, does she have pre-existing complications and stuff, or was she
Yeah,
healthy? What was it?
she was just old.
Yeah. So yeah,
In her 70s.
yeah.
But yeah, but they're starting to see a lot younger people uh, getting taken out by it.
Well,
Uh,
I'm wondering if I haven't seen a lot of data, and I mean, with your research and stuff, you keep up a lot more with things, but I haven't seen just a whole lot of data on the younger people and what could be going on. But one of the theories has to do with certain medications that maybe they were on when they caught it, and having those medications in their system, or not knowing they had it and continuing to take said medications. It's not that they had a pre-existing issue that it created a problem with, but it created a problem like the whatever medications they were on. And I'm a medical dummy, so don't get me to start quoting medications. I mean, the counter that comes to mind is ibuprofen, but they say that can actually make it worse.
Yeah.
And there's some other prescription medications as well that people can be on. Like I said, not for life-threatening things, but people can be on that can cause adverse reactions or whatever when you start getting the virus.
NSAIDs.
Yeah.
Which is like anti-inflammatories. My wife is a doctor, and she's actually a PHS officer who has been activated. She hasn't got orders to go away, but she has been activated.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to give a shout out to a guy named Jeff out there, one of our watchers here. I've been trying to track down Mask of it when she gets deployed. She's probably going to get sent to New York and stuff, and they don't really have enough masks.
Okay.
So he's selling he's like a supplier to hospitals, and he has a 4,000 masks coming in from local hospitals.
Nice.
And so he was able to snag me 20 that were extra, so I can give to my wife to take when she does finally get deployed.
Cool. I know. My wife's been making masks. I've mailed a couple packages out, care package type stuff that she's mailing around to some people. She's got in there on the sewing machine and actually made some. But I hear that. So I mean, if you need more or something, or something like that, let me know, and I mean we can get you a care package for her or something if we need to. But and they're stylish, man. She's doing them in all different colors and all kinds of stuff, patterns and whatnot. But I've heard that there's several companies out there. What is it? Blue Line Alpha, maybe, and there's maybe another company, I can't remember who, that are ramped up making masks and gowns and things now, which was pretty cool to see. These companies. I seen something, I think it was today, where My Sleep Pillow, and I've seen ads for that. I'm not familiar, but where they've geared up and they're making some
90%.
personal protection PPE or whatever they call it gear. So it's really cool to see these companies that get demonized a lot, right, for capitalism and profits and all this stuff. Completely retool their operations and sections of their operations and other things to basically make personal protection equipment. It's kind of cool.
Ford's making ventilators now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, My Sleep Pillow. The guy who runs it, he dedicated 90% of his workforce to making N95 masks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know he was a homeless crackhead?
No, I don't know anything about it. Like I said, I've seen the ads, and then I read. Like I said, I think it was either this morning or yesterday morning. I'd read where he had done that. His name escapes me and everything else, but yeah, that's as much as I know.
Right, he was a homeless crackhead, and then had a dream about God telling him, if you make a pillow, you'll be a millionaire.
Well, that makes sense from the quotes that I've seen from him. He got all heavy off into the praying for the country and stuff. So that sounds like he's a really religious guy or something. So that kind of makes sense.
But he wasn't religious until he had a dream when he was a homeless crackhead.
Well, you know what? Whatever it takes. I mean, that's great. If finding religion or whatever pulled him out from being a crackhead, regardless of successful endeavors that he's had since or whatever else. That's what it takes. Great. I'd much rather you believe in Jesus than smoke crack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that was after he woke up in a dream, that was the last time he smoked crack, and he started working on his pillow.
Well, there you go, man. That's good on him. Good on him.
Good on him. Definitely, man. So, are the gun shops still open where you are?
They're not closed by choice. RAG come out, of course, several of the counties and cities that had had shut them down, reversed before the AG ever come out with his opinion, because pretty much everybody knew what the AG's opinion was going to be, which is you can't do this according to Texas government code, knocking the crap off. And that was his opinion, official opinion, by the way. He cited government code, um, but yeah, I mean there was definitely opportunistic politicians and everything else, right? And so they automatically jump to shut things down, and talking about DFW area, Houston, Austin, sections in the big cities and stuff like that. And so a bunch of people got together and petitioned, I guess, or whatever, requested an opinion from the AG, and a couple of those flipped before the opinion ever come out, which was good. So I don't know of, and I don't have my finger on the pulse of every single county and municipality and everything else in the state of Texas, but I don't know of it being a huge problem with gun shops being forced to close in Texas anymore, especially since the opinion came out.
Well,
Now that being said, we've got a couple of points I want to make on this. Number one, we've got an issue with ranges. There's definitely some ranges being forced to close, which is something else that uh, Texas is kind of looking into, because Texas amended the government code in 2019. Our legislators did. So good on them. They typically pass a lot of pro-gun stuff that at the time, every session, which is every other year, um, they typically pass some pro-gun stuff that when they pass it, nobody really applauds them on it or is really paying any attention, and it may seem insignificant at the time. And this was some legislation they passed in 2019 that actually gave the Attorney General backing the um, on the opinion, on the decision or the opinion that he made a few days ago. So good on them. In some other states, you may want to press your legislators to try to put some stuff like that in if you don't have it. So that's the thing with ranges. Back to the gun shop thing, though. There are some gun shops in my area, and then some others even not in the area that I know of, that are closed, but they're closed voluntarily. Yeah. It's either they've been exposed, somebody in their workforce or their family's been exposed, and so they've decided to shut down for a couple of weeks, basically take a vacation or whatever, right? Stay at home vacation, obviously. Just for the responsible thing to do. There's still and then there's gun shops that are completely out of everything. They have no ammo. They have no. I'm talking about none. And these are typically two I know of that are this way are really smaller shops. They literally work out of buildings that are 10 by 20 or 14 by 20 or something like that, little buildings. And so they don't have anything. They don't have any ammo. They might have a holster or two or some crazy little trinket, something. But as far as firearms and ammunition, they don't have anything. And with the distributor channels they got right now, they really don't have the opportunity to get at least a lot of the things people are wanting right on the shelf. So they just opted to, why risk it? Why be out in the public if I ain't got anything to sell to make money? I'm there with people walking in, and I got to turn them away anyway. And so why risk some random person coming in and spreading it, and plus opening a place right for people to congregate that could potentially spread it. So again, they shut down voluntarily out of just a responsibility to the thing. But one thing that both sets of those that I'm seeing happen with gun shops are doing is they've got signs on the door. So if you order something online, if you can find what you're looking for, right, and you have it shipped there, or if it's gunsmith work, because their gunsmiths are still working from home in their garage and doing other things. So if you need to drop something off as far as the gunsmith, or pick something up, or do your transfer or something like that, they are still available. It's just they've closed their storefront down. But for the most part, I mean, that's just a few. I mean, for the most part, a lot of them are open. The one that I work through as media promotion, what is the demo and all of that stuff. Sometimes sales. I was in there, like I said, Saturday, and they had a couple of Glocks in there. They had a Sig in there, a Beretta in there. They had two or three 1911s in there. They had a couple of Buck Marks, a couple of the Ruger 2245 lights. They had several revolvers, including some really nice Taurus and Smith and Wesson, snub nose revolvers. Long guns. They had several ARs. They had some shotguns and hunting rifles and 1022s and stuff like that. So they actually had quite a bit of stuff. They've been selling a lot of stuff, but he's a little bit bigger operation and been around a little longer and has some really good distribution channels and contacts and other things. So he's still able to get some stuff in. And then obviously they do Cerakoting and gunsmithing and all of that. Now, one interesting thing they haven't done yet is they're really thin on ammo. No 9mm to be found there at all, and he can't even order any. But he has reloading machines. So they used to manufacture ammunition once upon a time. And we kind of got out of that 2013 debacle, if you remember. And so it got to the point to where it just wasn't whatever the cost benefit for him, right? To do that just wasn't there. But he's seriously considering it, and talked to me, called me up, talked to me several times, and mentioned that seriously considering setting the reloading machines back up to, because right now reloading supplies are not nearly as unobtainable as loaded ammunition. So seriously thinking about setting those up, and at least is that way as regular customers and things like that, he can sort of keep them going in the meantime. If it gets much worse or goes much longer, I foresee him doing that. So that's sort of the long story of the situation of gunshots and stuff around here.
Yeah, I think when when DHS came out and said that gun shops and ranges are critical or essential businesses, I think that changed a lot for a lot of different states. In fact, you see, New Jersey just opened a mall back up today, which surprised me.
Well, there's a lot of them flipping, you know. And I say flipping or making the decision. I mean, Illinois was that way. People were worried about that, and then they come out and did it. There's still a fight in Washington State, unfortunately. Um, but I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think we got to look at some good. I mean, it's bad that it even has to be considered. I get it. There's going to be people out there that say that is they're going to say, well, this shouldn't even be an issue. They shouldn't have to flip. They shouldn't have to even think about it, or even allude to the fact that they're going to shut down a gun shop or a gun range or whatever. And I get that. I totally get that sentiment. But on the same hand, we've got to look at, there is some positive there in that at least they're realizing the pushback they're going to get, or uh, political ramifications, or whatever motivation it is for them to make that flip. It's a positive for us that they make the flip.
I know GOA has been suing a lot of different places, and every time we file a lawsuit, they reopen everything. And same with FBC and Second Amendment Foundation. Every time one of these people sue, especially with the DHS decision, it's kind of hard. But yeah, it's definitely very, very. It's an interesting time.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you one thing: I did get myself a little toy. I had
Oh
to
yeah,
deliver to my house. I'll put it up on the screen right now.
there you go.
All right, there.
What is that? Because I'm not a car guy.
That is a Genesis G70 twin turbo,
Okay,
3.3 liter V6 twin turbo.
that sounds fancy, but okay.
It's very fast. It has like the adaptive suspension. You can put it into the launch control.
Right.
It's really nice. You can go and you can tune it to whatever you want with the engine. Shift points and everything. 8-speed transmission. It's a
Wow.
it's a
Eight
fun car.
speed.
Yeah.
Fancy.
The new Corvettes have 10 speeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fun car. I didn't realize that it had autopilot on it until today when I accidentally turned it on.
An autopilot, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize it had one,
Yeah.
but I must have hit a button somehow, and I was driving along. Then I realized I wasn't pushing the pedals, but the car was
I was
keeping.
driving for you.
Yeah, then I was like, okay, I was like, this is weird. I must put on cruise control, and then a corner came up, and I was getting ready to turn on the corner, and then the steering wheel started going around the corner.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let me just let my hands off the wheel to see what happens, and then the car starts yelling at you to put your hands back on the wheel.
Ah, yeah. Well, that's what I was fixing to say. I was kind of looking through to see if I could find some pictures. Um, my wife got or we, I guess you could say we got or whatever, her a new car. Here it is. Here, let me see if I can screen share it. So we're showing stuff off. Chrome tab, but it was a 2019 Kia Forte that buddy of mine used, and the windows are tinted and all that good stuff now. But um, buddy of mine bought this. Obviously, Apache Auto Sales. He runs that and had it on the lot forever. And the problem is, it was just too new and too expensive for his lot. And the height of income tax time, that's when people typically buy cars. You know what I mean? And so he really wanted to get out from underneath it. And I'll stop the screen share now. But he really wanted to get out from underneath it.
Closer to himself. Uh, yeah. So all in blame is $10,000 off. There you are.
Yeah,
All right.
I fell victim to the duck here, man. I clicked to stop the screen share and it kicked me out. But anyway, what I was saying is, yeah, he wanted to get out from underneath it because he could get, the money he had invested in it, obviously, and dump that into a couple of lower price vehicles he could make more money on. And so we got a smoking deal on it, 2019 with less than 900 miles on it. So, uh, not anything we was looking for at the time, but one of them deals that kind of falls into your lap. But yeah, long story coming back around to relate to your story, it's got what you're talking about. It's got that deal. It'll self-drive for like 15 seconds or something. And then it'll tell you to, it'll start throwing a fit, tell you to get your hands back on the wheel and all that kind of stuff. It's loaded, Kia Forte, and it's got literally, um, the window sticker deal that has the little check boxes for the options literally had everything checked. So it's got everything you could possibly get from Kia is on this thing. So it's definitely the top of the line model.
Genesis is from South Korea as well. And
Oh,
so
okay.
the South Korea is turning out some amazing cars.
Well, I mean, I talked to a few people when, I found the deal. For me, I'm a Ford guy. My wife's always drove Mustangs. But with the grandbabies and stuff, she was wanting something 4-door, and we was looking at getting something new because we started factoring in with making all these trips to SHOT Show and NRA and Tulsa and all these other things that we go to. We rent cars, and we're like, with the rental fees that we're paying, if we rolled those into car notes, you know, you know what I'm saying? That would offset a lot, and then we would have warranty on the car. We could have warranty on the car, and then get something like AAA, right, on top of that, and then we would be covered with most issues we might face out on the road. Because the cars we were renting are about like this Kia Forte. I mean, they're Nissan Sentras and Nissan Versas and little things like that. Actually, they're not nearly as nice as this Kia Forte as far as options and things like that. So, so when it come up, I thought, I really hate to deviate from Ford, but at $8,000 or something, I forgot what it was, less than loan value is what we got this thing for. Um, not less than book value, but less than loan value. Um, there's no way we would ever be. I mean, if jobs got lost, if times got hard, you know what I'm saying, and you couldn't make the payments, there would almost be no way that you could not get out from underneath it. You know what I'm saying? At least get rid of it for what you owe on it, and be at zero. So, um, yeah, called the banker up, did wheeled and dealed and did all the stuff and picked it up. She's enjoyed it. I haven't. I drove it once. If we ever go on a long trip, I'm sure I'll drive it. But typically, I don't drive her cars. I've got my truck, and um, if we go with the truck, I drive the truck, and if we go with the car, she does the driving.
Yeah, we were gonna pay just pay cash for it, but then we got 0% financing, and that way they paid the first 4 months of the car payment. They covered 4 months of the car payments. I mean, with getting $10,000 off.
Right. Well,
We
that
got
was part of
and they deliver it right to your house.
that was part of ours too. Is that's what we were looking at. We were looking at just buying something because that's pretty much what we've always done. Um, we're not big on payments and financing stuff and stuff like that. And that's sort of what's always put us in the financial position that we've always been in.
Yeah.
And so, we don't have the best, greatest, latest, nicest of really anything, but by God, we own it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of always been our philosophy. And so this come up, and we were looking at buying a five to maybe $8,000 vehicle, and this came up, and it was three times, or 2 to 3 times anyway, that price. Gave 18 for it, and I think 26 or something was loan value, but considerably more. And so we had to finance it and do all that. And of course, when you do the financing, it's not just the interest rate. I can't remember the interest rate we got, but it wasn't bad considering our credit score and going through a local bank and all of that. I do not want to deal with major. I do not deal when I do have to finance something. I do not. This is a rule of mine because I've been burned and had issues on it in the past. So financial advice here, I guess, for everybody out there. Um, I deal with local. That way, if there's a problem, I lose my job, I get injured, I something's going on, I can go into the bank. You know what I mean? Plus, I'm a part of the community. I'm local. They know me. They know my family. There's all of these factors that come into play, and those people are more likely, those institutions are more likely to work with you than some bank through, GMAC or Ford Motor Credit or whoever that's out of California or New York City or who knows where they're at. You're just a number. That all they care about is getting their money. They don't care that you need an extension or you need a little extra time on this or whatever. But what was interesting is it wasn't just when you go to finance. Like I said, you throw the warranty in on top of that, and you throw all the extra coverages and insurances and other things. A lot of people don't pay attention to that. When we were first looking at it, my wife and I kind of did the math and was like, well, payments should be about this, and I'm like, yeah, but by the time you factor in all this extra stuff that you don't have to have. Admittedly, you don't have to have it, but credit life, credit disability for one thing. If I get disabled, she gets disabled. If either one of us die, it's paid for. You know what I mean? And with odds that could happen. It would be horrible, but that could happen, and so it gets you out from under it. And like I said, then the warranties also rolled into the payments and all that stuff. So. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, with the cancellation of 2 this year already, because NRA was canceled and Tulsa canceled on us. That was 2. That was 2. Yeah, well, that's true. That was 2 that we had planned on going to and everything else, and so that's not money we're going to save on the car note, unfortunately, this year. But it is what it is. Hopefully, it makes financial sense later down the road. I'm hoping.
Yeah, everything is canceled. I was supposed to fly out to Houston for Red October, not Red October. I keep on saying Red October. Kalash Bash,
Clash Bash, yeah.
and that was canceled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like everything's being canceled. I mean, everyone just holed up in their house. In Virginia, for example, you can't leave your house besides like doing essential stuff until June 5th.
Right.
But here's the thing: you're a member of POMA too.
Uh-huh.
A member of POMA.
Sure.
If you're credentialed with a media company or a media like a association,
Hmm.
you're exempt from all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So just have my POMA card with me,
yeah.
basically. If
Air Virginia
anybody
just
says
has a
anything.
POMA card, and they'll let you
That's
go.
pretty awesome. Well, I mean, I technically in the paperwork for that is on my phone, and I do that just in case I ever get a question about, well, I've got a suppressor, or I've got a class 3, or I've got something, and somebody says something, I can whip out my phone and show them the paperwork that no, I work for this. I work with through this gun shop. I'm covered. It's all good. So I'm covered that way. So that's nice to know. My POMA card's actually sitting behind me on the shelf. So I may need to slide that in my wallet. I haven't seen a need necessarily to carry that around in my wallet, but now that you mentioned it,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. That's one thing that befuddles me is hearing about the stay at home orders and all this other stuff, and you got to have a note saying you're an essential employee. And so I've heard some stories here. The county actually to the north of me, that's where the gun shop I'm talking about is at. So I've got to cross over and go into that county. And I was talking about having to go, and somebody said, "Oh, be careful because they're pulling people over and checking." And I'm like, "What?" So have you heard stories? Is that kind of stuff actually going on? Because I didn't get pulled over. I didn't see not one. I did not see not one police officer on that trip. As a matter of fact, not one cop car did I even see. But that's you hear stories and conspiracy theories and other things. But I'm just curious if are there places where they literally are checking people's papers when they see them out?
I heard something about in Florida or somewhere, but I mean that's unconfirmed rumors.
Right.
I do know DC is sending they're hiring private security guards to go to parks and make announcements to make people leave.
Mm.
And technically, they can arrest you if you refuse, or give you a $5,000 fine if you refuse. But I checked into that today, and so far, no one has been issued a fine.
Right. So it's more of just kind of a scare tactic they're using, I guess,
Yeah,
to scare
yeah.
people to stay home.
There is one case of a guy where they put armed guards out of his house to make sure that he would stay in his house.
Huh.
But he had coronavirus and he wanted to go.
Okay, so he was that's a different story. So he
Yeah,
was confirmed infected, correct?
yeah. And he said,
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm not feeling that bad. I can go out.
Yeah, no, that's a totally different situation. If you're confirmed infected, then I think you probably need to adhere to a few guidelines a little closer than the rest of us. Yeah.
John Voorhees does bring up the fact that Rhode Island, they were going door to door to catch people uh, uh, who left New York and weren't quarantining themselves because a lot of people were trying to get out of New York City.
Right.
And
Well, I
I,
can understand why people want to get out of those population centers. I get it. If
yeah,
you've got another place you can go, yeah. I mean,
there's an island off the coast of Maine, and the citizens there have taken up arms to basically prevent people from coming to the island.
there you go.
So they don't have
Well,
corona there.
well, you do whatever it takes, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. New York City, for example, 12% of the police force are now out sick with corona or corona symptoms,
Well,
which
that's not good for New York City. Can't be.
yeah, which brings me to my next point is that's one of the reasons why we need to be responsible gun owners and own guns.
Hmm.
because when the cops get sick, who's going to protect you? If you look like Cincinnati, where they're not responding to assaults anymore, and they are not responding to like breaking and enterings and stuff like that in Cincinnati, which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see John out there is mentioning the pastor in Florida that had the big church service or whatever. I don't know. I mean, that gets most of the churches around here have gone online and stuff.
Yeah.
They were kind of set up to broadcast their services anyway, so they just went to that format for now, and they're voluntarily being responsible and stuff like that. But that's what's scary. I mean, it's not that this isn't a real thing, and it's not that we don't need to be cautious and be responsible and use common sense and all of these other things, but at the same time, man, some stuff like that's scary where, oh, you can't go to church. It's like, excuse me? Excuse me?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. This dude was faith healing though, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, he was. Here's the thing with that. Most of the, and that's a money ploy, probably.
That's employee.
Most likely. And so, if you're talking about legit churches and legit pastors, they're probably for the most part doing like the ones in this area, I would think, and they're being responsible and they're doing it online or, smaller groups or, hey, we're not going to have actual service, but there's whatever 8-10 people in our Bible study. We're still going to meet for Bible study or, do something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but there's all sorts of conspiracy theories. Like for example, I'm looking at one right now where someone is complaining, saying, "Oh, there's definitely an issue. There's a conspiracy issue because like there's earthquakes." And no one's reporting them, but they're saying that there's earthquakes. And you look at it, they're like 2.0 seismic. You're not getting rid of Phil. That's why no one's reporting them.
Right.
You're looking at someone put up the USGS. There's small earthquakes everywhere like that are 2.0. This is not
Right. Right.
Colonel Bacon just sent me something, so let me go ahead and share my screen here. I think this is. Let me pull it up. Yeah, here it is. Check it. This is Rhode Island. He's up in that area, and apparently cops are stopping people.
Okay.
Rhode Island. So there we go.
Well,
and he just sent me.
Hello, Gestapo. Apparently.
Yeah, he just sent me all that. Interesting.
So they stop you and give you some pamphlets. Apparently.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Firearms by appointment only. Oh, interesting. But that's something else. Very interesting. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a smart thing to do, in a way, but all that should be voluntary, is my thing. And it's, if people aren't willing to do it voluntarily, I get it. It's like, what do you do? I don't think you trample on the Constitution, but it still begs the question: if people aren't willing to do the common sense, responsible thing here, then what do we do? Maybe, I don't know. Say, hey, if you're not doing the right thing, suspend your FFL till this is over or something. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Carmelo is making, and also John Voorhees brings up Rhode Island's turning people away at the border if they don't need to be in the state, and Florida is doing the same thing. So it is definitely a interesting time. I just think people are scared. My wife works in FDA with infectious diseases and everything, and when SARS came up, she was like, "Oh, no big deal." And when the bird flu came, she was like, "No big deal." When swine flu, she was like, "No big deal." When MERS came out, she was like, "Oh, it's no big deal." With this, she's actually scared, and that scares the hell out of me.
Right.
Like, I'm like, is this another one? Because you've always talked about, like, we're going to be in a situation where it's like a boy cried wolf thing.
Yeah.
So I asked her, like, this is boy cried wolf thing. She's like, this is the wolf.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, I think it's a serious thing. I think it's something that I think it's something that we definitely need to heed the warnings and be responsible and do all this other stuff. But at the same time, I don't think we need to freak out. But most people, I think, are being played one way or the other. They're either being riled up that it's the end of the world, or
Yeah.
they're being riled up that it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's like everything else. There's no middle ground, and the media or mainstream media is playing a huge part in that. That there's no common sense middle ground that says, hey, one of the things I seen today, and with your wife and all, maybe you can shed some light on this. But one of the things I seen today was talking about how the number of cases in the United States continues to rise, fairly alarmingly. Um, Whereas the other countries have sort of hit their peak at this point. And it's the United States is outpacing that. Now, granted, we have a lot more social interactivity and we do a lot more traveling, and there's a lot of factors within the United States, I guess, that can go into this.
Right.
But one of the things parallels that they were drawing is you've got people that are telling you, just wash your hands. You don't need to wear a mask. And, um, and I haven't been wearing a mask. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you about nothing. But, um, it does make you wonder if we've got this really increased rate of confirmed cases going on, and these other countries employed their masks early and everybody wore them. Did that help? Not that it completely eradicated or stopped it or anything else, but did that at least help curb, the number of infections and stuff?
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing that goes on. And one of the things that is an issue with the United States is Americans don't like to be told what to do.
Right. Yeah.
And you have a huge percentage of the population where, when you tell them they're going to, stay at home, they're going to be like, F that. I'm going to go do what I'm going to do.
All right.
Not going to stop me. And a lot of the other countries, they had like 95 to 99% compliance rates. In countries that haven't, for example, Italy and Spain, which are below 90%, are one that I think Spain's at 90% and Italy was in the 80s that of people obeying that. That's where the explosions are happening, and that's where it's very, very scary.
Right. Right.
So it's like, what do you do? Yeah, I don't like being told to stay at home either, and I'm conflicted on the stay-at-home orders and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But usually defiant me would be like, I'm gonna go out and not gonna put up with this crap. But then I look at it from a practical standpoint, and I'm like, it's probably the best thing I could do for
Right.
myself and for my family.
Right.
It was to not go around people because
Yeah.
not
Well,
good.
other than to go to the local gun shop, and then, like I said, I went in quite a few stores looking, and that was looking for essentials, right? I was looking for paper towels for my
Yeah.
mom, or going to the grocery store, which I've curbed that a little bit. We're just dang near out of, but because of this diet, a lot of groceries now. I mean, hopefully we can make it through to the weekend, and be able to go maybe Saturday or something. To do a little bit of grocery shopping. We'll have to obviously get out to do that. But I mean, we've, curbed as much as we can. And it certainly helps with things closed down. There's a lot of around here. There's a lot of voluntary closings, you know, and restaurants, things like that. I mean, you can only go through drive through. That doesn't affect me on the diet or whatever. But there's other places that are, could be considered essential and they're closed down. So it's not like there's a lot of places you can go and do things and whatever to be out anyway. So when you've got people voluntarily being responsible like that, it
Yeah.
does make it uh, a little easier for people to stay home, because what are you going to do, right? There's no place you can go to do anything. So you're just going to go to Walmart and walk around.
Yeah, we should peak around April 18th is the time they're saying we should peak
Right.
with infections. But there was one thing where somebody was having a party with 70 people for a 1-year-old,
Oh, that's not good.
and cops busted it, and then they busted a apartment party in New York that was hosted by everyone in there was in their late 40s, early 50s,
Wow.
and they're having and there was like 50 people packed into a little apartment. It's just and
Wow. Wow.
what are you guys doing? I mean,
Wow.
and the people,
Yeah.
I was reading a thing with the people with the 1-year-old party, and they were like, it's a 1-year-old birthday party. It's special. Like they're not gonna remember.
Then have a little family thing at home. What you need is special to 70 people. I call BS on it. Special to 70 people. Have it with some immediate family at home. Film it. I mean, for good Lord, you got a cell phone that does excellent video. Set up a tripod, film it, put it up on YouTube for everybody to, else to watch. And then that kid, when they're 18, 20, 40 years old, they've got a video of it to boot. So there you go.
I mean, it's just freaking stupid. I mean, people are just irresponsible. Is what I call it. It's I don't know, man. I think we're gonna peak out here around April 18th. I don't know. I've heard so many things, but I'm not sure exactly what's public knowledge and what's not.
Right.
So I mean,
Well, I mean, I think one thing's for sure. I mean, it's not the apocalypse. We're going to make it through.
no, it's definitely not the apocalypse.
It's not. There's not a conspiracy behind this. It's global, for Pete's sake. I mean, there's not. It's not. There's no way. Many countries are involved, and there's no way. So it's just something that unfortunately we got to deal with. I mean, and it's not uncommon. We have to deal with things. I mean, has there been anything really significant like this since, say, 9/11? There really wasn't. And
I don't think there's anything.
the thing is, when you look back at stuff like that, look back at 9/11 and the first few days after that and what have you, social media the internet was still barely sort of in its infancy even. You know what I'm saying? And social media really wasn't even there. So cell phone communication, ease of taking video, all of the things you've got now to communicate and people to talk to each other and figure out what's going on, we didn't necessarily have. But it was a similar situation. I lived through that, and it was, you draw some parallels, and it was the Y2K, so these things come along, and, you got to deal with them the best you can, unfortunately.
Y2K was never going to be anything. I'm from that world, and I told everyone, I was like,
I do too. Yeah.
out. Stop freaking out.
Oh man, when they roll back to zero, their computers are not going to know what to do. And I'm like, I've been in computers long enough that I know that the computers are going to know what. It's not going to matter to the computer. It's going to reset it. Even if it's designed to reset to zero, it's not going to stop working. It's just going to reset to zero. So
yeah, I mean, it was stupid.
it's kind of like the clock on my stove. Okay. The lights flicker and the clock on my stove goes out, right? And it's such a pain to set. I don't like to set it. So when the lights go out, I'll go in and I'll look, and the clock on the stove says 5:30. Well, I look at my watch, and my watch says 7:30. So guess what? I know that my stove is 2 hours behind the real time, right? So I just make those calculations anytime I look at the stove. And
Yeah.
so with Y2K, it's like that's what's going to happen. The computers, they're going to keep going. It's just the timestamps are going to be weird.
No, here's the thing. A couple more things. If you look at the pandemic now, it seems like every 100 years, almost to the 100 years, we have a pandemic. Like the last pandemic was 1919, which is 101 years.
Mhm.
The year, then the one before that was 1819, which was 100 years before that. Then there was one in like 17 and 17 teens. I can't remember the exact date, but
Right.
it's just bad now because yeah, everyone travels.
Yep. Yeah.
But
We
yeah,
we really are a small world now. So
yeah,
um,
but
yeah,
it happens every 100 years.
totally agree. And you know what worries me the day I'll start freaking out a little bit, honestly. Viruses don't scare me near as bad as bacterial stuff.
Well,
um,
I don't know. I think viruses scare me a little bit more than bacteria.
yeah, bacterial stuff to me is I don't know. I see that being if we ever get a pandemic that's bacterial in nature. I think that could be that's going to be a whole different ball game. I think.
I don't think so because bacterial we have antibiotics.
But you
And
can only make so many antibiotics, and some bacteria is antibiotic resistant. And I
yeah,
mean, you know
we
what I mean?
yeah, I understand what you're saying,
And it
but
works, and it generally works a lot quicker. Bacterial stuff goes and works a lot. It ravages through the body quicker than a viral thing. A viral is usually you don't necessarily know you got it, and then you know,
which is bad, which is the bad part. Which is why I was about to bring up the same fact, but I was about to say that's what scares me about viruses more than bacteria, because when you have bacteria, you get sick right away. With like coronavirus, you can walk around for 2 weeks infecting everyone
right?
before you have any symptoms. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I understand. I'm a big zombie fanatic, and I just see a bacterial thing being the actual zombie apocalypse. So I guess so
No,
that
I think
concerns
it'd
me
be prions.
because I believe that to have real zombies, it can't be a virus. It has to be bacterial. But
I think it could be prions.
well, yeah,
I think that would be to making the zombies prions. So here's a question for you:
yeah,
after this thing blows over and all these new gun owners, which I'm writing a story for MBS Outdoor magazine
yeah.
about it, all these new gun owners put all their guns up for sale. Are you gonna jump on and try to buy a lot of them cheap?
I don't think you're going to see as much as what some people are saying. First of
Yeah,
all, I think that better than 50%. I would hate to go as high as 70, but better than the 50. We'll keep them because it's going to be fresh in their mind. Now, they may just lock them up, put them in a drawer, lock them in a closet, whatever. But I think a good majority are gonna keep them. Not only keep them, but um, I'm gonna say probably not 50%, but I would certainly say maybe 30 or 40 actually become a viable part of the community
yeah,
and end up buying more and that sort of hopefully becoming 2A advocates and stuff like that. So I don't think we're gonna see as many as what we think we're going to see. But to answer your question directly, of course. I mean, I'm always if I run across that's how I buy nowadays. I don't panic buy. I don't run out and buy because somebody says somewhere they're going to ban something. I don't. There's not anything that it's like, oh, that's the newest, latest, greatest. I got to have it. I'm just nothing blows my skirt up to the point I've got to just run out and buy something. I buy totally based. It can be totally random. What I buy this week or next month, I have no clue right now because I buy according to was the price right? Was it a deal? Because I view my firearm collection and everything as an investment. And so, just like the vehicle I was talking about earlier, it's hard to pass that up because that's a good buy because you can always get out from under it with no loss. I buy firearms the same way.
Oh,
So, I see it. It's like, I've never really considered owning one of those, but Jesus, that's half of what it's worth. Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm about to break your heart.
Break my heart. How's that?
Did you see my screen share?
Yeah, what about it? I can't read it. It's too small, but yeah.
High Point closes its doors voluntarily.
Well, good on them, I suppose. I will tell you this for any new gun owner that might be out there or prospective new gun owners out there listening, you can't go wrong with a High Point, I don't think.
And
And right now, I did on the Instagram live last night. We looked at Classic Farms, Bud's Gun Shop, and Grab a Gun while I was on there, and there's High Points everywhere. So you might not be able to find a Sig or a Glock or something like that, but you know what? A High Point would get it done if you ever needed to get it done, and they're out there and they're cheap. So I
yeah.
don't, I don't have a problem with it. So
Oh, sorry. Well, Matt, I Hate Kids Demolition Ranch shot one with a 50 cal and it's so fired.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. People probably don't get that joke, but that's fine.
people don't get that joke, but that's okay. If you want to know that joke, I won't I won't explain it here. I think we talked about that before, but yeah, I don't even bring that up much anymore, to be honest with you. Unless his name's brought up. If his name's brought up, then I have to hashtag it. Uh but outside of that, I typically don't explain the ambiance, whatever the story behind it. But it is verified, and I do have witnesses, so I will say that much.
I believe you, man.
Anyway,
Definitely believe you. But yeah, man, we've been talking for about an hour. Hang out before you go. I have some other stuff, something else I want to tell you that I think you might find
okay,
fun.
okay,
Before that, but for everyone out there watching, I usually do this like 5 nights a week, but it's been a little bit here or there with my wife. Um, possibly being deployed soon. I don't know when she's gonna go. When she does get her orders, it's gonna be a 6 hour window that she has to be gone, be to wherever she's flying out of or whatnot. So yeah, so I can't make any promises on when I'm gonna do a show or when not. So I hit up Clover earlier on in the week. Oh wait, not week, but earlier on in the day to see if he wanted to come on. But yeah, it's that's why it's gonna be a lot of last minute shows.
I was a backup and whatever is what it was. It's like that CloverTac guy, he ain't doing crap. I know I can just get him last minute.
No, all the shows can be last minute for now. Yeah, because I just don't know when she's gonna
Oh,
go.
I understand. I mean, you would think, on the podcast side of things, I've been putting out feelers and trying to schedule, and I'll mention it here, just in case somebody's listening. Couple things. I mean, with these companies, a lot of their personnel working from home and things like that makes it really easy and comfortable to do a podcast like this. And then also with the other people that are not in the industry that are staying home right now, as far as listenership and the potential for exposure and stuff like that, I think is really good. So I think if you're out there and you've got a company, whatever line of work, honestly, you're in, reach out to some of these podcasts that are within that niche or whatever, and for the love of God, get on there, because that's one good thing. If you can say there's a good thing about this, is right now is a good opportunity, man, to maximize that exposure. Take
Uh,
advantage of it.
Defender Coffee, the founder of Defender Coffee is gonna be coming on,
Nice.
which is it's good guy, man. Very, very good guy. Riley Defense will be coming on as well. They make AKs. In
Mhm.
fact, they're gonna ship me an AK. One issue in the gun community and for me, the manufacturer side. I'm not sure if people. You're probably not. You might be aware of it. You might not be, but a lot of these gun companies are having a real hard time getting barrels now. So, but a lot of people don't make a lot of the barrels for gun companies are made out of. It's not made by by like the actual companies.
Hmm.
There's a few major barrel companies, and one of the major barrel companies is been hit by Corona, COVID-19.
Wow.
So they're not getting barrels, and
Well,
I don't even know what barrel company it is, so don't even ask. All I know is
that's going to be an issue with this, moving forward. It's like we started out the show, me complaining about webcams. You know what I mean? There's just going to be situations and things affected, unfortunately, but it'll get better.
yeah, but just I think it's gonna hit rifle barrels, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. And that would be it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, maybe, or Thursday, or maybe next week, or maybe in a month. But I'll put up a
What you're
video.
saying is look for you when they see you. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. All right, Clover. Just hang on there for a second,
Okay.
and we are gonna end the show. I want to thank Clover for coming on. The Clover, the tactical leprechaun. He's the guy that was down, and I think it was Alabama when they were looking for a crackhead in a tree. But they thought it might be a crackhead in a tree, or it could be a leprechaun. I'm not sure if you remember. You
Wasn't
know,
me, man. Wasn't anybody I run with. Wasn't any of my
what I'm
crew.
talking about?
Yeah, I vaguely remember, but
Could
yeah.
be a
Yeah.
crackhead.
Yeah.
Now, when they were all looking for a leprechaun,
Right.
I don't know, whatever. All right, guys. I'll see you later.
Peace.
Oh, remember my Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump. I got another project I'm going to be doing pretty soon. So, all right. Thanks.